This is your favorite host, Gabriel. Uh, so today we have Ariane from Compost Sage, and I think we have possibly Diana Kennedy from Compost Sage. So they're going to be presenting on can we all get along, bridging business and IT needs. So thank you very much for coming out here, and I look forward to listening to this
Awesome.
presentation.
Thanks. All right. So, as Gabe said, my name is Ariane. Marianne without the M, just in case anybody wants to remember that for later. I do work for Compost Sage, but some of you might know me from when I worked at the University of Colorado Boulder, because I was there forever and came to CFTA a lot, that kind of thing. So, now that I'm with Compost Sage, I kind of do similar work. I do business analysis, process facilitation, process um, improvement stuff, and implementations of software, mostly for project management in the public sector. So, and I'm going to pass the microphone to Diana, and I'm going to run into the screen, and she's going to introduce herself.
Are we on?
We are.
We're on. Um, Welcome, everyone. Diana Kennedy. Little background, just real quick, for anybody that doesn't know. Um, Compost Sage is a newly formed entity from the former Sage Method. Sage Method was a company I helped found, and we've just recently merged with Compost EPC, thus Compost Sage. So, just a little quick background on that. Uh, Diana Kennedy, my background is similar to Ariane's in that I originally came from university background as well. I worked for the University of Minnesota for about 10 years, all said and done. I started out as a consultant and then was a permanent employee for 7 years, I think it was, and went from there. And from there, I told somebody earlier today that I moved over to the dark side, meaning IT, and they said, like Darth Vader? I'm like, sure, I can be Darth Vader. But really, what it was I went from managing construction projects into a technology implementation while I was working for the university. And from that point on, I started working more and more with technology. I ended up working for a number of other public agencies in the state of Minnesota and kind of went from there until one day we ended up forming a company and going from there. So Compost Sage, what our real mission is, and this isn't so much of a sales pitch as I just want you to know where we're coming from when we do the exercise we're going to do. So we do mostly consulting for public sector. Now we've merged with a company that also does oil and gas industry. I don't know a lot about that. I'll just admit it. Don't ask me questions about oil and gas. You can ask me about higher ed and anything else like that, but not oil and gas. So anyway, just everybody in our company in the Sage side. Do I tell them about the unicorns? I'll tell them about the unicorns. Guys love when I tell them about the unicorns. So because Sage was a wholly women-owned business, we enforced some things on our staff that maybe they liked and maybe they didn't. I don't know. But we would tell everybody we look for purple unicorns or chartreuse unicorns, meaning we want people who understand facilities management or construction management and technology. So you need to know both sides, and if you know process on top of it, even better. So that was kind of our background. That's who I am. I'm going to hand it back to Ariane. If you have any questions later, feel free to ask.
You're going to get to hang with Diana here in just a couple minutes. All right, let's see how this advances here. Ah, there we go. So we're going to jump into talking. I feel like there's a guy trying to get in. I feel like there's somebody coming in. I love CFTA because we can be a little informal. Oh, he got in. Oh, it was Jennifer. Hi. So we're going to jump into the topic, but before we do, I did want to. I know a lot of you. Diana does not know a lot of you because this is her first CFTA. We do know Gabe. But could we just ask you to do a quick introduction of yourself, just your name, your organization, and your role there? I'm going to start right here. How about you? Come on in. There's chairs up here, guys. And how about if you introduce yourself? Name, organization, role. Okay. Go to Janelle. And Jennifer, you want to? So it sounds like we have a lot of folks who have done some implementations of software before. So this topic just is really to talk about how we build requirements to do software implementations, right? Because you have your business side of things and people are, going on their merry way, doing their job, looking at processes, and then you've got the IT requirements, security and storage and, right? And how do you reconcile all of those things when you're trying to do requirements gathering? So I actually wrote in here a question for you all, but I missed it because we were doing introductions. But I said, who here feels like IT is from Venus and business processes and so forth are from Mars? Because that is how I felt for a long time, right? On the business side of things. Anyone else feel that way? Yeah, right? Yeah. So, but when we consider both the IT and the business side, we get a better product. So when you first start out, you know, somebody asks you, like they asked me, hey, can you be on this team, right? We all get on committees to do some technology implementations. We ask ourselves a lot of questions, and it stressed me out, right? Especially the who should be on our team part. It's hard to pick. So we're going to talk about how to get answers to these questions, and we're going to actually go to the next slide. All right. We recommend doing the answer gathering to those things with a methodology. And this is our methodology that we use for our system implementations. And we start with a discovery phase. What we do, who here has silos in their organization? Anybody? Okay, so nobody has silos. Great. I'm going to, just skip over this. Right? So, when you're doing requirements gathering, it feels like a lot of siloed requirements come in. You have your IT requirements, you have various units within your business organization. Everybody has requirements, everybody has needs, and they feel like they're often competing. Whose need takes priority, right? So we want to bridge those gaps, and we use some exercises that we're going to show you in just a second. We're actually going to have you do one. So when we do our discovery workshops, we do that for a couple of reasons, right? We want to make sure everybody's on the same page, but we really want the life cycle of a project, right? So you have a project, you get assets out of that project, then you have to maintain and utilize those assets, and they can be a pain in the asset, like Kendra talked about a couple years ago, right? So, so we want to connect our construction projects and creation of our assets with the operational productivity of our organization. So a series of Discover workshops take place to get everyone on the team pulling in the same direction for requirements gathering, right? So we start out with a needs analysis, assessment, a needs hierarchy, effort. Boy, I'm really losing my words right now. And it's on this list of activities that we recommend for everybody coming together on there. This is just a sample. It's actually the Pepperdine sample. So, but what you see here is a list of tasks essentially that we want to do. And we start off with our executive team introductions and approach review with them. And then we move on from there to gather the requirements. These are all facilitated sessions with organizations, and it's across various groups, IT and the business side. So now this is what a needs effort hierarchy looks like. This is a great sample because I love all the sticky notes in the very important quadrant. Right, yes. So, so what we do is we start off with an exercise that you're all going to do in just a second, where we ask you to talk about pain points around your process, pain points around whatever the topic of the day is, right? And yeah,
Second? Okay. So this exercise that we do, one of our precursors for it is that we always ask, so kind of going back to the topic, the overarching topic being how do we all get along? So competing agendas and competing interests in a project, how do we all get along? One of the things that we ask of our clients, and Gabe probably has heard this but not experienced it firsthand, one of the things that we will do is we ask the user base to give us their pain points separate from the executive team, because we hear different messaging and we keep it confidential, and we get this information from the group so that we understand what does IT have as priorities and pain points, what does the user base, the project delivery team, what are their pain points, then what are the executive team's pain points, so that we can see that full picture and get all of the right pieces together. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay, so sorry, I just wanted to interject that because that's really important to us in our philosophy, which is we say this until people tell us to shut up about it. It's first people, then process, then the tools. So we always talk to the people first to help build that bridge, to make it so that everybody has their own interests are presented, and we're discussing all of that. So people, and then we try to align it with better process with an eye towards technology, because everybody on our team should know about technology and know how to put those processes into it. Sorry, I'm totally stealing your show there.
you're not stealing my back to me, back to your regularly scheduled program. Yes. No, I actually bumped the slide back to this because exactly what you were talking about, right? So we're talking about shoring up IT and business needs using Discover here and really formulating it through our define phase there. So what Diana was talking about is really what is on this slide. And everybody's going to get a copy of this. I think they send it out. So, and if you don't get a copy, I'm happy to share a copy. So all of that being said, I'm actually going to turn it back over to you because Diana's going to facilitate a session for us on a needs effort hierarchy. So I'm going to let you explain how to do that and what we're doing.
So our biggest challenge today was finding some space where we could actually get Post-its to stick to something, because they don't stick to the wall. So we're going to use the door in the back, but first I'm going to tell you a little bit about what it is, because this, to me, if I don't do this exercise as a precursor to everything else in a project, I swear the project will go off the rails in minutes. So for me, when I'm, and because we work more in the capacity, we don't sell software. We partner with people who do sell software sometimes, but most of the time we find ourselves on the owner's rep kind of side, if that makes more sense. So our job is to really help the owners first discover what it is that they need to be focused on, and then how do we approach it, and how do we refine it, and how do we put that into a good solid technology. We are also technology agnostic, so we don't care what the technology is, we just care that it supports what we need in terms of requirements. So just a little bit on that. So the exercise we're going to do, though, the needs effort hierarchy, is something that, as I was saying, I always want to do this. And if a client tells me, can we skip this, or we don't really see this as necessary, I'll have to spend a little bit of time in getting them to realign, because I want them to understand that successful adoption of technology, you need to understand what the users want. Not just what reports do the executive team want out of it. That's very important, and they need to understand that. But from a user perspective, what's going to make their life easier? What's going to make their job easier? And if we don't solve for that, it's just going to be a really slow, if at all, adoption process. That's what we find. So this exercise is kind of the backbone for all of it, and we always keep, after we do these exercises, we always keep a running list as we're doing a deeper dive into our discovery for requirements. We're always going back to this exercise to say, did we solve for this? Did we solve for this? Did we solve for this? On all of the different levels across. And that's where we build that bridge between technology and the actual project delivery base. And that's how we all get along. It's, everybody needs to have something that you can give them that makes their life easier, because honestly, I think back when I was a construction manager, if you told me I was getting new technology, my first question for you was, how does that benefit me? Because that's all I care about, right? And if you could tell me and you could show me that it did something positive and helped me with my job, I'm there. I'm there with you. I'm going to do this stuff. So sometimes I'd be a little stubborn because I really liked my Excel spreadsheets back in the early 2000s, but that's another story, and I'll admit it. Anyway, I had some really good macros and things built in. I never let her. She never did. I know, because she was my client, and she was like, anyway. So what we're going to do is we're going to start the exercise, the needs effort hierarchy, and what it is we talk about what are your pain points, and then we arrange them by the need, like how badly do you need it is at the top of the door is what it's going to be. The top of the door will be how badly do you need things, and the bottom is, nah, maybe we need it, maybe we don't, but let's just put it on there and just see what happens. And then how much effort is it going to take? Does this take a lot of effort, or is this really simple and we can knock it out of the park really quickly? Thanks. So, and then after we get all of the Post-its up, then we'll ask whoever it is in the group to go and vote on it, because you might have one Post-it that one person insisted is super important. It's the highest need in their life, and it takes no effort, and they really want you to knock that one out first. But when we go through and vote with the other users of similar types of roles in the background, they're saying, I don't think that's as important. I'm going to vote for these. So we put the voting stickers on it. Sometimes we put people's names on it. Sometimes, depending on the session and what we're hearing out of it, we are smart enough to know not to get anybody in trouble, so we might not put names on it as well. The message is what's important, not who said it, you know, so yeah. So anyway, so we're going to do the needs effort hierarchy, and just remembering that in the back of your mind, the whole purpose of this, it seems like a really kind of cursory, high level, maybe not so important exercise. It really will drive all of your deliverables for implementation and adoption. So the topic that we're going to do today is just to talk about how do you pick software. So how do you pick software? And what we're going to be asking you then is, if you were picking software, what would you be trying to solve for that would make your life easier? So what are your pain points? If you're picking software, what would your pain points be around picking it? So not necessarily a process that's a pain point, but how difficult is it? So for example, I'm going to pick on you, Gabe. One of the things that we're working with Pepperdine on right now is getting an RFP out to help them pick the software. So we did this exercise exactly to say, what is it that you're looking for in the software? What are you hoping to solve for at a high level, really high level? Like, I don't want to know about, I want this field in my change order process changed and called this. That's not super important, but it might be, we're really struggling with understanding how to manage our change order process. So kind of at that level is what we're going for. Does that make sense to everyone, what we're going to do? Because I'm going to put you to work now. Everybody ready? Any questions? Everybody needs a pen. Troublemaker Dan in back needs a pen. I like that. More important, where'd our Post-its go?
Right here.
Oh, course. I was gonna hand it back. Here. something collaboration. Whose is this? I can tell because it's like, what does it say? Okay, that's a new one, but I like it. That's a really good one. Got it. Got it. Okay, so how much of a need is this for you to be able to solve for this? More and more? Yeah. And want to be able to boil it down and say, you know what? This is a huge driver in what we're doing. This is a huge driver in what we're doing. These are things that we need to have done. And this was strictly process. This was not software at all. It was to move into a technology, but it was specific to software, to process. So um, that gives us then the information that we do. And the next place that we go to, just so that you know the next step that we do in this process, after we get all of this done and we understand the priorities, then we start to dig in. Okay, you tell me that you need standard operating procedures. Okay, how is that going to look when we do assess requirements gathering just on that? So we'll do really deep dives into the ones that have a priority for our clients. That's how we'll prioritize it. We'll kind of rank it that way. That doesn't mean that we don't address everything in there. It just means that we make sure that if this is super important organizationally and for part of adoption, that we keep it at the forefront of our mind and we keep moving that way. All right. Back to you, Ariane.
So you guys didn't get a chance to vote, but you see how this works, right? Also, people need to feel heard, right? They need to be able to tell you what their needs are, and this is a great way to do it. You always see your sticky note because once we're done with this, we translate that into an actual lucid chart so people can see that. They're still on there. All right, thank you. Do you guys like that exercise? It's fun when you get a group doing that. Ooh, okay. So after we do that, we really want to hone in on requirements like Diana described and also key themes, right? So user adoption would be probably something we hear a lot. And so we would talk about perhaps a training plan or something along those lines. But when you're looking for a software or you're looking to do requirements gathering or whatever, you need to, write your RFP, but you want to make sure that you keep in mind what your top priorities are for that and also how this is going to benefit your organization. And you guys can stop and ask questions too, And then, of course, our favorite, metrics and reporting. So you go through the exercise of picking out your requirements, right? Prioritizing them, doing all of that. You go through the deep dive into a particular process or multiple processes. But how do you know if, when all of this is said and done, that your process was improved by implementing a technology, right? So we want to figure out a way to measure that. So a couple of things. Looking at the process as is, end to end, is important. And then taking each process piece or each step and assigning a time to it. Like, this is going to take me 2 minutes. This is going to take me 7 minutes. And then you baseline that. So you have your starting point. And then you have your future state, right? So you have kind of do the same exercise for that. And then when you get technology, you measure the actual. So and then you can obtain the actual time and variance from your as is to your new state. But, going back to this though really quickly, this is a great way to show folks in management that, hey, this was worth it. You heard our pain points, you solved them, and look at how productive we are now. All right, and so really quickly, we've put our RFP out, we've selected our vendor, we've, done all of the implementation, and we've tested it. It's beautiful. There are no glitches to anything. And oh, wait. Okay, well, that's my perfect world. But, Kendra, how do we get people to use that software? Come on, you guys. Oh, I thought you were here to tell us because you guys have such a great program with all your folks. Mhm. Right. Mhm. Oh my gosh. I had to double click, right? I've heard that. Anybody else have good examples of user adoption from their organization? Mhm. Right. Right. We had a go ahead. Yep. Yeah. Mhm. Champion that decision, right? Mhm. Right. um, yeah. We had a couple more comments. Jen? think did you have a comment too? Yeah. Yeah. Well, funny that you say that, right? Because our next slide says exactly, very similar, right? So, my favorite thing is the game of telephone. Everybody knows how rumors get started, right? Like, oh, this software is going to take me 18 years to do one task, and I mean, that's a big. Correct. Yes. They didn't listen to me at all because I don't want this. Yeah, all of those things, right? But we don't want those rumors to get out, right? We need to kind of contain those. We recommend an organizational change management plan. And if you don't do a full blown org change management plan, very much consider doing a communications plan. Engage your executive leadership, your sponsors, your champions, your naysayers, even to help with that. Because what is it? 7 times. People need to hear things 7 times before it registers, right? And also, you want to give people accurate information so that when somebody comes to you and says, Janelle, this is gonna, I need Box. I can't do it in Meridian. um, I need SharePoint. I can't do it in Box. Whatever the statement is, you can say no, because if you remember when we communicated this, this, and this, then you can kind of point back to what leadership is saying and so forth. Bullet point here on strong sponsorship. Kendra, you gave perfect example of this. Have your sponsors come to town hall meetings, training sessions, just bring it up at their staff meetings and say, here's why we're doing this. Here's why we're doing this now. Here's how it's going to benefit us. Keeping those things present for employees helps. And then communication. I'm just going to say it one more time. Communication. Consistent, frequent, over communicate on these things. So now we all have adopted our new software. So it's time for you to ask us questions. You can ask anything. We might not have the answer if it doesn't relate to what we do. Colin. Yeah, so I'll start and then Diana can offer some opinions and anybody can jump in. But my answer is yes, all of those, because not everybody hears things the same way. So email is effective for some people, but in person is effective for others. And in person can be, your virtual staff meeting if that's how you're doing things, right? Um, Probably wouldn't send it snail mail, but maybe some people might. Just various forms of communication because people need to hear it how they hear it. And food. Diana, what do you think? breakfast burritos.
We actually had a Vietnamese restaurant that I everybody loves them. Literally, I see them. It's so yummy. It's like with that. For food, they're good with that. Yeah.
At CU Boulder, it was always the breakfast burritos. Always. Yep. Oh, I love that.
I'm going to steal it, so you have to say you didn't. Yeah, you got it. You still have your dummy. You didn't get a snack.
I love that.
Love that.
I still.
I love that. I don't
I
like doing that much.
I love to steal from Lorena and Kendra. Just saying. I like to steal from you too, Janelle. So go ahead. Mhm.
So yes, with the Climate Justice Institute, and that's part of Women Plus, but always when we do a proposal, we always feel like there's a subject for the teachers to say, please do that. Absolutely. I would say that most of the time people start out saying, no, you don't need that, and about halfway through they start to say, can you do that? Yes.
Mhm. I,
That's exciting.
I'm just gonna say because I recently made the transition from CU Boulder to the dark side, as Diana calls it. I love it, by the way. I'm having a great time because I've met so many people. But I will tell you this. When I was working at CU and I would go in and I would talk about things, people would be like, whatever. We're going to do what we want. Or that's dumb. Or no, nobody ever said that. But the feeling like of just rejection, pure rejection. um, but now, as a third party, because I don't have a horse in the race, right? So people feel like they can say things or bring things up or whatever. So it is a very different thing, right? So yeah, I mean, third party facilitation it helps, right? Yep.
We just don't bring luggage with us.
You are.
Yeah.
I love it because that you're brilliant. Well, thank you. Thank you. Mhm.
We also, when we founded Sage, one of the things that Mary, the other founder, and I, one of the things that we really wanted to focus on was not allowing academic stuff because in the business plan we told everybody, folks, we kept saying the best thing we can do for our money is work with somebody else STEM. So what we really tried to do is ensure that we could use all of the tools and culturally change things enough that you could take it and people are learning it. And that to me is success. That makes me happy when I know that we have clients, Boulder's doing it still.
Yeah.
It's like we know that we made that change culturally for that organization and we need to continue to push that.
It's true. All right. Other questions? Janelle, do you have more questions? All right. Let's see. Brad, do you have any questions for us? Come on. I need some more questions. We have like 2 minutes. Awesome. Yes. Uh,
And living in an organization, what we do, I would. Sorry. But it's seriously because it's very difficult position to be in versus when you're outside. You can walk in and just say, I have no baggage, no horse in the race.
mm, it is. It is. You know, we didn't really touch on this. Well, we mentioned it, but we didn't go into any detail. But a really good, robust training plan, along with your org change management plan, really aids in user adoption. Just because you have a plan, you can, you know, show people where they're going on that roadmap. I'm a big fan. I don't know how you feel about training plans and org change management plans hand in hand, but I'm a huge fan of that. I like to go in kind of like you and say, I don't really know what you do. Can you teach me so well that you want to hire me when we're done? That's my goal all the time, to learn it. So, all right, any last questions? We'll be around, so you can hang out in here or do whatever you guys want to do.